Sure, everybody's got your phones off. All right, just before the meeting starts, John Carmack is a, alternate, and he will be a voting member of this today.
Perfect.
Let's call this meeting to order.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. That's for a roll call, please.
Bubba Davis,
President.
Robin May. April Ralph,
She's on her way.
John Carmack, here, Jackie Boyd,
Present.
Bruce Jasmine, here. You put four
I do have it one. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so, okay. New business, under A, discussion and approval of zone change for Amplifier Village, Unit 1, Block H, Lot 3, 4, and 5, and the adjacent Aspen Street drop-off area. I'd entertain a motion to, approve discussion and approval of this.
Also move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's open this up for discussion. What do we have?
And just I didn't. So this is part of it.
I don't have it, so
Those were the four things in that file. File that was signed.
oh, I didn't get any. Okay, so, who can, who has knowledge of this and can tell us what the request is?
Sorry, which one are we talking about? A?
A.
Yes. This mark here, yeah. So I do, I have documentation to show you as well. So just south of the hotel, at the end of Aspen Street, where the new six-pack has gone in, and the new ticket office rental building for the ski resort. If you look at the graphic here, the base of the chairlift is actually a little bit farther down on the page, a little bit farther down the mountain than what it shows on this earlier drawing. The base of the chairlift is basically there on lot 4. And that new ticket office and rental building is on lot 5. Both of those are presently, all 4 of these lots are presently owned by the resort. They're zoned O1. So, the ski resort zone is the 5. So the request, it's, seeing these things before these, they have, what I'm referring to. So the request is simply to rezone these from O1 to O5, so that they can be zoned as a ski resort. And that would just be in line with the way everything else, all the other infrastructure, all of the other land that's used as a ski resort, that's already zoned O5. The O5 zone property abuts lots 3 and 4. So these are all continuous. It's basically just extending the area of O5, because now with that new lift, we have a little bit more land that people can actually access with skis inbounds at the resort.
Be more than happy to just add a little bit if you all would like. For the record, Mark Manley, General Counsel for the resort. As Marcus said, I think this is fairly straightforward. These parcels, now function as a part of the resort ski area operations. So they were Village Core, 01, and we're asking for it to go to 05. Because we're gonna do ski resort things, on the area. There is obviously an insurance issue for the resort. So it's very important to have it zoned properly, so that we can, essentially do things like drive snowcats and operate the lift and those types of things. So it's fundamentally a zoning alignment issue. We're not seeking to introduce an unrelated use in the area. Rather, these properties are functionally integrated with the existing ski area. And the 05 is the zoning classification that most accurately reflects what we're looking to do. From our perspective, having the zoning designation correspond with the actual ski area use also provides a greater clarity and consistency for the future, for our operations, for permitting, for risk management. So for those reasons, we just would respectfully request that the commission recommend approval of the change from 01 to 05. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Just in going over this, why isn't lot 3 and 4 combined? I'll do that too.
Chairman, I don't have an answer for that. I don't.
I just wondering, because it seems like it'd be logical to combine all those and have that done. That's
Indeed, and I know that there was a reversionary clause on 3 that allowed us to reclaim the
Right.
cul-de-sac, and that has all been completed,
okay.
including the portion of Aspen Street that we refer to as the drop off.
Right.
And so, yeah, it may make sense to simply eventually do a lot combo for all of this.
Yeah, included to the hotel area and.
Yeah, I don't, why that wasn't done, back in the day, I don't have a just clean answer for you on that. It's something it's important. I will try.
No, I was just wondering why, because it would seem like it'd make sense to just. You got it there, it's all one thing we've done.
About agreed.
That was my only question. Anybody else have any questions? No. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Hearing no no's, approved.
Thank you very much.
B, discussion and approval of the July 21st, 2026 version of the Night Sky Ordinance prepared by Night Sky Committee. I'll open this up for discussion. Anything motion for open?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor for discussing, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. My first question is, I haven't even seen the new revision of it. I'm not sure what was going on with the email, because I emailed a couple of times and asked questions and, but anyway.
It's gonna be 5 minutes.
Five
more minutes.
So the emails were sent around by Clerk Strickland last week, I think, that had most of the attachments in Word documents. Some of them were quite large because they included 2+ years worth of revisions in there. So if you don't have those, certainly we have paper copies here. And if anyone else would like those, we have more copies as well. But
And I do think we need a correction on Bubba's email because I kept getting messages saying it had been bounced.
Yeah, something happened, because
So-
I didn't get anything.
can we should confirm the chair's email. If you want to just hand him see if we have a mistake in his email.
I'm looking for me to do it. Yeah, I got it. It was in the zip file.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't have a challenge.
That's correct. Mine. But I responded to an email and asked if this one, everybody had been notified, and I never got any response back. So anyway, So I haven't even had a chance to preview this. So do we have any, anybody have any questions about it? Has everybody had an opportunity to read this?
I read it and I don't have any questions or concerns. I think what we got is pretty consistent with watching the changes and the discussion that have happened before. But if you all want to add anything, that would be fine.
Mr. Chair, if I may, let me just clarify what's in the packets that you were handed and anyone else that got them out of the audience as well. What you've got before you in the packets are section 9-2-1, and that goes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. The 8th page is actually 9.8.2. That is the current signage requirements. It is referenced in the dark sky ordinance, and so that was included. Then behind that, what you have is a comparison between the ordinance that was initially given notice to proceed by council back on March 31st. And it gives a March 31st to July 21st, kind of a what changed. And so that goes on for 1, 2 pages. And then finally, the last 2 pages of this document are a highlights of the ordinance. In other words, it goes through basic questions. It starts with kind of the 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting design, and then it goes through specific questions. The first one being, I have a property that already has outdoor lighting installed. How does the proposed ordinance address this? And so on and so forth. So the packet before you is not all the ordinance. It's several different things. We also have several members of the committee here in attendance today. So being this is our second agenda item, if you all want to take a few minutes and familiarize yourself, those that didn't get a chance to, I suggest now's a great time to do that. And then if we have questions, either myself or committee members will be happy to answer them. But please feel free and familiarize yourself with what's in front of you there. And did anyone not get a copy that would like one? Okay. Yes. And I guess one other housekeeping item while you guys are looking through that, we did not actually go back and approve the minutes that April Ralph had sent around. So if we could circle back to that on the agenda at some point to approve, I forget
We've
the
already
date.
approved the agenda as it's stated, so we'd have to do something on that.
I'm sorry, this
It's
is
not, it's not.
Oh, it's not on the agenda?
Not on the agenda.
I got it. Okay. So while you're flipping through it, primarily what you have on the first 2 pages are definitions. And you don't really get into the meat of the ordinance until the bottom of page 2 and then going forward from there. Broken up into various sections, off-street parking, and then exterior lighting by lighting region, different definitions and standards throughout. I will say the biggest change from the March 31st document to now is how single-family residences are done. And basically what was given there was a 3-path approach for single-family resident compliance. Keep in mind, this only applies for plan submission for new residences, okay? So if somebody's building a home, if you go to the page that says H, additional light standard fixtures for residential use, and then little b, you'll see the 3 ors in bold there midway through the page. That basically creates the 3 different paths that somebody can use at plan submission. There are some initial definitions. First, all exterior lighting mounted under roofs and eaves shall be zero uplight. All exterior lighted mount to the side of a structure or outdoor of a structure within 3 feet from the edge shall be limited to a total of the following. And then it says 3 fixtures per dwelling, or 2,850 lumens per dwelling. And then you continue reading down. So there's basically 3 paths for the single family residence. You can do a number of lights linked to the number of doors. You can do a path that exempts lights that are on roof overhangs so long as they're 3 feet in from the edge. And then the third path of compliance was actually written specifically for smaller homes. Remember, the first path was how many doors do you have dictates how many lights. The third path says if you have a very small home that only has, say, 2 exterior doors, that might overly limit the number of lights. So a larger pool was created if those homes went to do landscape lighting, driveway lighting, path, those types of things. So it really gives you 3 different buckets for the single family homes, which was, I think the committee would agree, probably the largest sticking point we had as a committee of how to adequately address the myriad different way that homes get built in Angel Fire. So I'm gonna let you guys read and then we can get into specific.
I have something to that. It was also allowed for scaling up so that we weren't specified for one particular size home. It allowed for upscaling to larger homes.
And those points, I remember some of the discussion, those points were specifically because of the mayor's concerns.
It's not specifically the mayor's. I mean, obviously, he builds a lot of homes, so he knows. What we end up with here in Angel Fire are not homes that look like Albuquerque in a lot of instances. We have a lot of homes on very steep lots with large outdoor areas for eating, dining, kitchens, those types of things. So you end up needing more exterior light than is common on a single family residence in Albuquerque, as an example. So we wanted to make sure that we left allowances so that everywhere you had exterior decks, you could make sure and light whatever activities happening properly.
Right.
So the decision was ultimately made at the committee level by uncapping the number of lights. That was one of the big hits that's going to preclude us from chasing dark sky adoption. The other one being able to measure lumens at the property line. But it was decided that it was better for us to move forward with an ordinance that better fit us and work our way into it, let people get used to, what this says and does before we tried to go to the more aggressive route, so to speak. Now, I will mention in our conversations with Dark Sky, they had a lot of input in helping us write this. We're seeing other municipalities chase this. We've been told that Albuquerque is actually very, very close to getting a dark sky code adopted as well. So we don't see the state as turning away from this. If anything, they're putting more effort into it legislatively, grant writing, those types of things. So the writing is kind of on the wall that this is coming. And so ultimately the committee decided that we've been working on this for 2.5 years. The goals were to make something that was specific, that was enforceable, and that was measurable. And we feel like that's what we've done. So that's why the vote was to go ahead and continue moving forward with this body. As a reminder, there will be several steps after this body. It will still need to go through legal review, and it will still need to go through council review with all of the appropriate public notice along the way.
Yeah, and this is just me making a comment. I don't think we should be in a race with anybody. I think we should get this ordinance the way the people of Angel Fire want it. Be it first, second, third, fifth, it should be right so that we're not coming back and over again to whatever. You did take out this section in here that stated that you will come on the property and take their stuff. Is that correct?
So the committee chair is not here. I apologize. She was scheduled for the last meeting, this meeting. That language that I know you were specifically, that was in there for a different purpose. It has been struck. So that was in the enforcement penalties relief section. That particular item was out of there. The other big change from this, if we go to, there's a new concept in here of festoon lighting. Some of the Christmas lighting or the bulb, the patio that you see people string on those. Allowances were put in here to allow those to continue to operate. It does define, lumens per foot. So we went and looked at Amazon, Costco, where does one typically buy the kind of lighting, just to make sure that we weren't putting a hyper restrictive, number to that. It does have allowances though that, you know, when Christmas lighting can be, that's been expanded quite broadly. There are still all the provisions for non-conforming lights to remain. It just simply asks that if you were going to continue to have those, that they be extinguished at a curfew time. So
November through March, I think.
I believe that's correct.
That's under decorative lighting.
Yeah, we went with the broader, so instead of just doing Christmas, it was kind of all of the ski season. We wanted to make sure that people who come and have decorated their homes appropriate for ski season, you know, they may leave, you know, end of February and not come back until April, depending upon their travel schedules, but it gives them time to encompass the entirety of ski season essentially.
My experience of being here 8 years, it's the enforcement part of it, defensible space, that
Yep.
fell apart, a lot of things. So enforcement is basically neighbor telling on neighbor, or is it basically a code enforcement officer going around?
So this is first and foremost complaint driven.
Okay,
Now, keep in mind that what is in here is not just residential, so
right,
the example I always give is North Angel Fire Road. There's many light poles that the village is responsible for up and down North Angel Fire.
okay.
Many of those are actually burn out. But we don't have a standard in the current outdoor lighting ordinance that tells the village, here's what you should replace this with. This addresses that.
Okay,
So back to your residential question, yes, this is complaint driven. One of the other things we don't have in here that will preclude us from dark sky is we did not include the ability to go measure lumens at the property line. That is a requirement to settle disputes. And as you know, planning and zoning is quite busy. We've had turnover in code enforcement. So we would like this to be the slow approach. Initially, the dates that were in here were, we're not sending out any letters from the village entity until July of next year. And finding authority is delayed at least a year after that.
to
Where does that state that in?
It is,
It's on the,
Winter K. Enforcement.
yeah, so beginning July 1 of 2027, and penalties are not before July 1 of 2029. And those were things, again, what we don't want to have happen is, because it's complaint oriented, we don't want to get inundated with 800 complaints. Because quite frankly, I've just met our new code enforcement officer. He's doing great work, but, and I'll say this as gently as I can to those folks over there that have been on this committee, this is not the top of our newest code enforcement officers list of to do right now. He has a lot of pressing issues because that role's been empty for a while. So that's why the delay in rollout.
Okay.
So it still sets the standards, but we're not going to start really doing anything about complaints for a year or 3, depending upon how you read that.
And is this penalties up to like fines
It
or
does.
liens on homes and
It
stuff?
does give fining authorities. Yes, it
Okay.
does give fining authority. You know, liens on homes is gonna be it's not like we're issuing $5,000 fines, so
Right.
people don't generally lien a home for a $50 fine, I guess would be my.
I had a friend that sold a house and he had storage sheds on it, and before he could sell it, they had to put it on cement pads.
oh, yeah.
And
Sure.
put that on there. So
Yep.
is this something going forward, somebody sells the house, that they have to be compliant with this?
So no, upon buying a house, nothing in here would say you bought, or let's say I bought a home that was built in 1990 and it's had lights on it forever. I don't have to bring that home into compliance just because I bought it. Now, there is language in
Turn it
here.
off at 10 o'clock at night.
Correct. If they're non-conforming lights, turn them off. There is language in here that if you go do a major remodel on that home, if you're doing something that would require a planning and zoning permit, then you are obligated to bring it up to all the village standards, as you would with fire, electric,
Right.
everything else. You have to cross that threshold, though. Simply real estate transaction would not trigger that.
So if I burn out a bulb, I don't have to replace it with,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, ultimately, I know there's a lot of language in here, but what the committee is really, if I could say that the big goals of this are down lights. We
Oh,
want the
yeah,
lights to be
absolutely.
down.
Yeah.
We're trying to protect our night sky, which is, you know, beautiful relative to the rest of the country. And then the other one we hammed and hawed about a lot was the temperature color. So if you go back and look, the committee had a presentation by a company that does municipal lighting, and Kelvin is the term here. We ultimately settled on 2,700 Kelvin, which was a little higher than what the consultant was recommending. And quite frankly, a little higher than what Flagstaff, Arizona, they're kind of the poster child for dark sky is at. But think amber. So if you've ever been to, Santa Fe, Rojo Caliente, that kind of, yellowish, low down lighting, that's the standard that we're aiming for here.
Is there already exceptions built into this for, Whitville or the Snowcats or?
So there's a whole section of exceptions built into here. Let me go to it so you can see where those are at, because night skiing is specifically exempted in here as well as, so let me find that section. So yeah, the third page, exemptions start letter C down towards the bottom. And there's a host of them because there's FAA exemptions in here. There's occupational safety exemptions in here.
Okay.
EMS, there's a lot of things that have to get exempted in order to make this work, but that's,
Whitville's not in here.
Whattville's not in here. No individual business, quite frankly, outside of the resort, because the night skiing is integral to all of us being here, was specifically exempted.
Okay.
Now, if we go to Whattville or places that are using lights, those types of lighting are allowed, but it does put curfews on them.
Yeah.
So
But
Just-
let me just mention, please, that while the resort is exempt due for its business and what it brings, we are also a business operating under those lights as well.
correct. Now, the same curfew is applied to both entities. So the 10 PM curfew is in this language for both. So they're not being treated differently from that perspective.
But yeah, there is understand this on my aspect and standpoint. There is something called grandfathered in. And those lights have been on for a while, so we might get into a little contest on that. I would be willing to any new lights from the point that this ordinance comes to going along with the ordinance for turning those lights off at 10 o'clock at night. The lights I have going on now will always be on from all night long. So I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm not trying to be anything, but I'm just letting know how much that I stand on that. And I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be hard to live with. But I got that out away from town for that purpose. And so that's just, I'm not trying to be hard at all.
Sorry, we have.
Yeah, your name?
Yes, my name is Alex Azo. I have owned a condominium at Starlight since 2004. And my primary concern is health and safety. Our parking lot is a large one. It's 162 by 102 feet in dimension, our large parking lot is. We used to have a street light at the corner of Squaw Valley and South Angel Fire Road that's been out for over 10 years. As are other lights around us. This is the first time I have seen the definitions and regulations. I would urge you not to vote on this based on what's been explained to you, but to actually read it yourself. Because the words are what matter, not what someone else's interpretation of it is. So if you believe the explanations that have been given to you are such, but haven't really read this, and obviously, Mr. Chairman, you haven't, rely on your own reading of this and then get explanations. What our property manager has explained to me, and I don't know this to be a fact, is that one of the requirements is for the lights to be turned off in the common areas. I don't know if that's actually in here at a certain time, but that is,
I can see that.
I mean, that would be ridiculous. We have people coming into our complex
At all hours.
at all hours. It is dark in there. The reason I'm even aware of this is because we were about to put a light in our parking lot. And I came in and spoke with Marcus, and he was helpful and explained to me that this is what's going on right now. So we put a hold on it because we don't want to violate the rules. But we need a light desperately in that parking lot. So please don't put any restrictions on leaving the lights on at all time in the common areas we have steps that go down from one building to the other. Keep those things in mind. Beautiful skies. I can go out into my large parking lot and I can see the stars fantastically. I love it. But I would rather be safe. I would rather have our guests be safe. I don't want our Starlight condominiums to be sued by a renter who's coming in and falls down on the steps or in the parking lot. This year, we've had bear activity in our parking lot. In the 22 years I've owned, I have not been aware of any bear activity in our parking lot. A couple of years ago, we had a guest fall in our parking lot at night. So to me, health and safety trumps any kind of dark sky. You know, and a wish for a dark sky. Dark skies are beautiful. The other thing is, there's been a mention of residential rules being different than commercial. I don't know how you will treat a condominium association. I can tell you, insurance treats us as a commercial entity, even though we're residential. So the definition of residential, is that going to include condominiums? Or will condominiums be commercial?
We have a section for high density dwellings that the condos would fall under. And yeah, it's not, you can't have lights, it's just point them down, make them the lower Kelvin.
Okay, but is there any pointing down? So right now we have these walkway lamps that, you know, they're canisters, the light is in there and extends, so that's gonna be
No.
illegal now?
If they're already installed, I don't believe so.
So
If you put in a new light.
So what this does for commercial, multifamily, and residential is creates a set of standards that defines conforming lights and non-conforming lights.
So where's multi?
Multifamily is gonna be,
It's really, all right.
H1I, is that what I heard you say?
HB, right?
HDI. The high density R3 through R6 dwellings. And then the specifications are listed here. Additionally, there is a section in here for off parking lots, off-street parking lots, which is 974A. So this is not telling you, you can't light your parking lot, you can't light your common areas at all. It's just simply creating a set of standards for all the different cases.
Is the switcher?
For the multifamily,
Thanos will get to you in just a moment.
Right here.
high density.
Okay, so you read high density. You know, it doesn't say condominiums. It doesn't say
Townhomes.
townhomes. What does high density mean?
So it refers to how it's zoned right there. And I believe it says R3 and R6. So.
So what, I don't know what our condo is.
Likely R3.
Okay.
We could double check it. I could double check it right now, or we could double check it right after the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, can I submit just pictures of
Absolutely.
the parking lot?
Absolutely. Exactly. Sorry. Been there many times. John?
Oh, yeah.
So the one light we have is on the stairwell of building 1, but the trees have grown so much that it doesn't illuminate hardly anything. So I just ask you to read this fully and understand it fully before you vote.
Thank you. Let's, yes, go ahead, Mark. I'll get to you after this, Santos.
I'll be quick. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to direct your attention to page 9. On July 21st, 2026, the Dark Sky Committee voted on a revision to the proposed ordinance that incorporates recommendations from the Village Legal Counsel, Dark Sky International, and from the Angel Fire Resort. This copy that you have in front of you is not supported by Angel Fire Resort. This is not the revisions that I provided And the resort would not, in my brief 10 minutes of looking at this document, this is not something the resort would support. This is going to hamper our operations as written. Again, given that I've reviewed it for 10 minutes and have not been provided a copy of this particular revision, these are not the revisions that I provided. And so that statement on page 9 is incorrect.
Is this the latest?
This is the latest revision, and again, I know Mr. Manley's only seen this for 10 minutes. There was a set of revisions that the committee incorporated from the resort. Some of the asks that were in there were added to this. There were some asks, and I can let the committee speak to it if they like, that the committee felt they couldn't do. For instance, there was an ask for an exemption for all buildings leased, owned, or managed. And the committee's thought process was we could not exempt the resort's property management from this while holding all of the other property managers in town to this. So happy to go back and forth and work with them on the things the committee thought they could not do from the resort's asks. But most of what was changed from the resort's letter was the additions of not just the night skiing, but the maintenance and all the other lighting necessary on the hill to do that. There's a lot of snow maintenance sheds that need lit during certain parts of the year. Those changes were certainly incorporated. I think the biggest hangup was, not a lawyer, so that's what we went through, was there was some language in there. We didn't just take all of language and say, yes, we'll give you these exemptions. There was some back and forth as the committee debated the asks and felt they put in what they could. So if there's some additional changes that someone would like to see in there, certainly happy to review those. But the managed by was a big sticking point for the committee because they didn't feel like we could say one property manager gets exempted from everything and the other 4 in town have to follow it. So we felt like we were stuck between a rock and a hard place there.
Okay, I'm gonna go Santos first. He's been standing by on the line. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, I'm in Dallas and it's 106 degrees. So I wish I was an Angel Fire with 150% humidity. Apologize for the background. It was either that or the chicken wings on the other end of the poster at the airport. But just some observations on this ordinance, Mr. Chairman. I do feel that this is completely different from the original that was being discussed 2 years ago. Some of the comments that I've heard, I do think that we can make some updates with respect to condos and multifamily. I do want to point out that some of the condos aren't actually in an R3. They might be in an O1 or an O2 or a C1 because those districts also allow residential at I think an R3 density of 20 units the acre. And so that's an easy catch of trying to update and fix. And that makes a lot of sense to include a multifamily or a condo. I really feel that's a multifamily unit because that's a simpler definition of more than 3 units on one lot kind of thing. That's an easy capture. I also feel that some of the comments from the resort, I would just recommend that the wording be different. And not to be snide or anything, but it's listed as Angel Fire Resort. If that entity if the ownership changes or decides to create a new LLC, now our ordinance is out to date and doesn't reflect which properties are which. So for example, the night skiing, that can only occur in an O5 zoning district because that's the ski mount. So if you said something like night skiing in an O5 zoning district and maintenance related to snowmaking, that captures all of it and everybody understands where that's at. So there's just some of my comments on some of the housekeeping items that I think aren't significantly major, but I do feel from a syntax point of view, we could capture and correct and provide updates. That's all. I did have a question though on floodlights. Letter D, lights prohibited. And I think most of this is in the ordinance today. Blinking lights, strobe lights, things of that nature. Just trying to get clarity on floodlights.
So your question is, DB floodlights?
Correct, correct. Well, if the thought with the committee was new floodlights and existing floodlights are kind of non-conforming as most of the provisions are, I'm gonna try to get to that light section just to see. That was just a question I had of how is that incorporated today if it's not?
I guess there's gonna be some overlap here between floodlights and then what is also in the security lighting section. So, the example we always picked on, and we're not mad at them as a business, but we tended to pick on the, car wash in town that has the wall packs on all four sides and just lights up the whole valley. So floodlights, I think here is the constant on. What is in this section is all of the security lighting, the motion lighting that so many people have on their businesses for theft or their homes for bears. That is still allowed, but simply lighting the entire property 24/7. That's why the flood lighting was called out there is we have some people who are doing that still. So, you know, it's not a perfect answer, but it's the right light in the right place at the right time is kind of the goal here, not no light. So.
And that was really the reason for my ask is I just wanted to get a better understanding and that clears it up for me. I just, was trying to get the connection with security and then just overall floodlights. So that helps me.
I see your point. I'm gonna skip you, Mark, go back over here.
I have one question.
Dan, and state your name, please.
Red Ralph. My question is regard to very last page, second to last paragraph, and I be granted a variance under special circumstances. My question is, does P and Z grant the variance? Where's the variance granted? And I'd like it to be considered that Westville be granted a variance up front in this process.
And it would, and this is I'm not gonna say it, I'll say it another way. In my opinion, I think any variances have to come before P and Z.
Okay.
That's my understanding. Is that correct?
So the way the language is written in here, it specifically says the village council. Under relief procedures, little a, the village council may grant a variance from requirement of this ordinance upon written request of developer or owner of a property following public hearing and upon finding that one, extraordinary hardships or practical difficulties may result from strict compliance with these regulations and or purpose of these regulations may be served to a greater extent by an alternative proposal or requirement, and then it continues on by no variance, nullifying effect. I won't continue reading the whole thing.
What section was that?
It is, big I, little a, so it's under enforcement and penalties, under relief procedures. It's the very last page of the ordinance. I'm sorry, big L.
Yeah, the paragraph I'm referring to does not specify council, it just says about village.
Which paragraph are you on? I'm sorry.
The next page, very last page, second to last paragraph.
The very last.
The very last page of the document, last page.
Yeah.
Second.
Oh, I got it. Sorry. That is a Q&A. The actual ordinance states village council. Now, again, that could be a recommendation to say, we want the P and Z to do the variance instead of village council. That's totally fine.
Because that's usually, I mean, the
Sure.
flow, all variances come through city council and then after council through P and Z, after P and Z reviews it, concurs or denies, then it either goes to council or it doesn't go to council.
Correct.
Based on that. So I can see a consideration being put in there to change that from village council to planning and zoning.
Well, that.
Mr. Chairman, that's what. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Council ultimately grants it, but that's the last step. Typically, like, it all comes.
So I think it just needs, because the question came up, it needs to be clarified that these are the steps for variance.
Well, I guess what he's saying is that's how, like you just approved a variance. Council doesn't approve the variance from before without P and Z. It goes to P and Z first.
But the way, if somebody were to
Sure.
read this, just this, it was read, it would circumvent that.
Sure.
So, yes, Santos?
No, I'm just saying that typically on variances, and maybe that's what the language should say, upon a recommendation from the P and Z Commission, council shall consider the variance. Because you've considered variances to the new sign ordinances. Remember, Stewart's Restaurant could only get one sign and he needed two. And so we changed the sign standards so that you could actually seek a variance. You guys considered it first, made a recommendation, and then forwarded to council. I see something similar on this, and maybe we just make the language match that council shall consider a recommendation from Plan Commission regarding a variance to the light standards. And that makes it uniform like you do with garage setbacks, with height setbacks. You saw a deck that needed a variance to the rear yard setback. You made a recommendation, forwarded to council. I just think that we should be it all consistent. The only difference is with the alcohol spacing requirements, like the yellow building has the restaurant on the end, and then it's got a church on the suite next door. So the council that's the only variance where the council looks at that spacing standard different, but everything else in Title IX goes through a recommendation from P and Z.
Okay. Yeah, so, good. Who else had their hand up?
Thank you, Chairman, the Chairman and the council members. I think another item you might want to consider.
Your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael Terry. Another item you may want to consider within this ordinance is if a film production company comes in, as they have in the past, and they want to do night shooting, because film companies, they don't shoot 9 to 5. They shoot 18-hour days usually. And so there's heavy lighting involved, like when they shot that in Dark Skies or whatever, out in our neighborhoods, we had a neighbor call us in the middle of the night, thought there was a forest fire. So that's something that you may want to consider to somehow write into the ordinance when they come into town, if there's any limitations or ways you can work with them to with the lights that they're gonna.
So, Mr. Chairman, just for reference, someone shooting a movie is supposed to get a film permit, a shooting permit of some sort. So if that's a path you want to take, you can actually tie it to, so that somebody doesn't say I'm shooting a movie just to say they're shooting a movie, but they actually we have something on file that can match that. Just a suggestion.
Mr. Mann?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to make it clear the resort appreciates the ability to work with the committee, with this body. I'm getting this right. And just to echo Councilman Crane and Mr. Martinez, if there is some syntax, some things that we need to clarify, ready, willing to do that. I know this has been a somewhat frustrating process because it has been going on for a long time. So I just want to make it clear to the committee and to this body that the resort's committed. I'm not going to be the rate limiting step here. Okay. If I'm able to review this, I'll get our revisions back as quickly as I'm able. It does, I'm not the ultimate decision maker on this stuff, but we're getting closer and closer to what this ordinance actually needs to look like. And there's simply some ski area operational issues that I don't think are captured. And, if we were overzealous in talking about property management, we'll deal with that. We're absolutely not trying to be unreasonable here, but I got to do my job in protecting the resort, being able to operate, to do all the things it does to provide a safe and a quality snow service for the entire ski season. I just, again, in looking at this briefly, I don't think that's captured in there. There's just some other things other than the lights related to night skiing that we have to do for the safety of our employees. Thank you.
I still have a couple of, I've just got to be educated more on some of this. I mean, light trespassing, well, I can see it lights all the way across. Is that trespassing?
So the light trespass in the definition, then,
Who is going to come out and say my light is trespassing on your property?
sure. So again,
I can't see how that, I'm sorry,
Sure. So light trespass has been obviously a big contentious issue and fully admit, we have removed the verification on site because at this point, it's just not something the village feels we can get our arms around. So it's in the definition section, and if one of the committee members will help me, it only appears in one other place going forward. So
you've got that, you've got these two words just kind of, you know, I want to pick on you.
Sure, please do.
I think you're a nuisance.
Many people do.
But it says right here, so I can think, so, you know, I think there should be some more clarification on nuisance and light pollution. Those two words can be, everybody in here can be interpreted a different way. And I think there's just a better, and I don't know how, but I think there might be another way to massage that, make it where it's not like that. Because like I say, I can sit there in my back deck and I can see all the way across. And I can see, I can see the lights.
Sure, sure.
So that's my whole concern is the rest of it, you know, I see exactly what condos and townhouses are talking about.
Yeah.
And all the other safety issues that we have in this whole thing. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to read the whole thing and digest it. But those two stuck out, and it's good that we got rid of the section in there about coming on my property and taking it, because that would be fine.
Well, so keep in mind, let me just read the exemption section kind of in its whole.
What
Because
page?
this is going to be on the third page of the ordinance. We're under 978, section C, okay? So exemptions, lighting required by federal or state or county laws, code regulations that conflict with this ordinance will supersede and be exempt. So to go back to our condo example here, we're not telling a condo association, you can't have lights on your stairwell. That would be ridiculous, right? Like, we're just creating lawsuits there by doing that. Navigational lights is required by the FAA. We're not telling the airport, who just put up all their new lights and their search, we have no authority to go back and tell them we know better how to do than you do. Federal or state highway lighting, we're not going to tell DOT, here's how you shall do.
Right.
Now, as a reminder for those of you who don't remember, the state has already adopted a new standard for all of their on-highway lighting. And as these lights fail, they will be replaced with what is now required by the states. So that has already been put in place at the state level. Lighting mandated by occupational OSHA, gotta have it, right? Permanently installed battery-powered lighting located on emergency egress for building. This lighting shall be lit temporary for the instance of power outage. We're going to tell you, hey, the power's out and you've got these emergency lights everywhere. Oops, you get all those complaints. And then temporary outdoor lighting, law enforcement, fire, EMS, utility personnel to assist in emergency response, worker safety during construction, repair, maintenance, or similar activities. And again, if Mr. Manley has better language here, we would love to have it. Angel Fire Resort and resort amenities and repairs and maintenance. We are probably not perfectly capturing everything that goes into maintaining this mountain because they know how to do it way better than we do, and they've done a great job at it. So, lighting of state and national municipal flags is permitted only with maximum of 2 fixtures, emitting no more than 75. I got a complaint from the police chief about this, or the lieutenant, because yes, this ordinance is going to make him, instead of uplighting his flags, he's going to have to downlight his flags.
Right.
That's going to cost money to do, but it's again in keeping with the whole spirit of, we're not going to zero lights. We're not even going to the condo associations or the homeowners and saying, you have a hard limit cap. That would have been required to do dark sky ordinance. That is not in here. We're simply saying, have the lights, aim them down, and have them the temperature color. And then I'm going to go to one more section here. If you'll turn the page to light levels B, there is kind of the catch-all in here, B-2. Unless otherwise specified, lighting installed for specific outdoor use shall not exceed 50% more of the light level recommended by the applicable ANSI, ISE, or other nationally recognized lighting standard. So if someone comes in and they're building a new townhome complex or whatever, and they say, here is the standard that we want to build to, and it's a nationally recognized standard, this says fine. As long as you have a standard you're using, we will work with you on that. This is, again, not out there to say you only get a split number. We're not trying to hurt people in parking lots or on their stairs. Unfortunately, part of crafting an ordinance that's measurable, specific, and enforceable is, it's tough. You gotta put a lot of language in there to try to catch everything you can. And certainly, it's not perfect. Not everything in here is what all of the committee members wanted, but it's what could get consensus. And if it still needs massaging and work, that's why it's here at a public meeting. And that's why if it continues forward, there will be more public meeting. Whatever massaging we can do to make this one better for Angel Fire, better for our businesses going forward, great. But we're trying to replace an old ordinance that's been in place since 2013 that does nothing.
Right. Understood. And we appreciate all, or I'm not saying we, I should say me. I appreciate all the work that's gone into this. And, like I said earlier, I would like to get it right and get it where it does what we want it to do one time and not have to keep coming back and changing because of this and that. Sure. We didn't realize this or we didn't realize that. And like I say, I apologize. This is my first look at it and I've had about 20 minutes. But there was, like I say, there's a couple of questions that I was, like I say, light trespassing nuisance. I need more info, need more input.
What kind of info do you want?
Well,
So we know.
what is light trespassing? I mean, I can read the definition, what you got there, any light emitting from a fixture that penetrates properties other than for which it's designed. I can sit on this side of the hill and look over here and I see lights. Is that trespassing? Would that be considered trespassing? Or could it be construed as trespassing?
Well, that's what the complainant can, but the complainant would go in and state that. I'm gonna be a little sarcastic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody shined a flashlight in my house and I think that's a nuisance, so I went under this ordinance, I want that taken care of and the person fined. Well, then the council would look it over, those who were involved, and they would say, no, it doesn't, it's not that much of a nuisance, he shined a flashlight for 2 minutes. But for somebody that has an arc light on all night long shining into somebody's house, just pointing right at that person's house, they may have something to say about that. Because, it goes under the old adage, my ability to swing my fist ends at your nose. So yeah, you have freedom to light the place, but not when you start harming other people.
But, and that's part of my, I'm sorry for interrupting. That gets to the nuisance and the harming. And this is me being a butthead. How can my light harm you? And I'm saying that with tongue in cheek. But some people look at stuff and they take it to this extreme. Your light's harming. Well, I don't understand. Other people would understand what it means. So that's what it's getting to. Some of this stuff that we sit here and we say it all day, but then what happens 2 years from now when all of us are gone?
Well,
this guy comes along and says, well, I do think it's a nuisance.
100%. And part of the challenge of that ambiguity.
It's hard.
Well, and because we had to take the measuring lumens at the property line out, you lose that objective standard there because we don't have the ability to do it. And it wasn't where the village wanted to start with this. We wanted to start with this on, quite frankly, the buildings. We've already had all the village buildings evaluated based on what we own and the light poles that we have to do.
Right.
And we're hoping to get people to come along with this, hence the delayed rollout.
Right.
It was a lot to take the measuring lumens at the property meter out, but there just wasn't support for it for leadership. So by taking that out, now you have left it a little more ambiguous, but I will say he's right. Because it is a complaint driven ordinance, you've left that up to now the governing body decide, is this a nuisance or is this not a nuisance?
And like, that's where part of mine gets. You may think it's a nuisance, I may not, and so it's all subject to your opinion.
Right.
And that's where I think we get into some of the stuff, it's subject to an individual's opinion. But we can always have the right to come to the council and say.
Now, the good news is, again, there's two paths here. There is everything that's already in town and what's already been built. This is going to be far more prescriptive, quite frankly, for new builds because it requires everything to come through planning and zoning submission, adhering to a very specific set of standards. So that burden is going to fall on all the new construction hardest and least on the existing.
Yeah, I mean, like at my house, and I'll just use me as an example. I've got an American flag, LED American flag.
Yep.
You can see it. Is that a nuisance or is that light trespassing?
Is it light pointing up or down?
It's flat.
Like a
Yeah,
mounted on a wall flag.
is it a nuisance?
Right.
Is it trespassing? What is it?
I think if I was, and I'm
Yep.
cold, right? So I think a lighting like that would typically fall under the decorative lighting and the architectural lighting in here.
So this stays on, it only comes on at when dusk to dawn.
Dusk to dawn.
Right, whatever the, how
Kind of
little
photo cells.
stupid little LED
Right.
thing.
Right. So,
Cause I've got that question asked from other people.
right, so under the decorative lighting ordinance, that's kind of a non-typical one. The decorative lighting was written in here specifically for Christmas lights
Right.
and the festoon lights, the bulbs on decks. We didn't, obviously couldn't anticipate everyone's, installation of a LED flag. So that would have to be evaluated if there was ever a complaint, because keep in mind,
Right.
if you left it on 24/7 and none of your neighbors ever complained, then it doesn't exist, right? There was no permit to put it up. It was a nothing. It was a zero. I guess if you and your neighbor got into it one evening and he decided, I'm gonna make a complaint over this, then it's gonna have to go through planning and zoning, go through code enforcement, say, is this a legitimate complaint or not? And then read in with a picture based on how it meets the definitions in both quantity of number of lights and lumens that are set in this document. And without knowing your specific light, I'd be guessing.
Okay, let's go this side first and we'll move right over there.
I think the vagueness of this should scare all of us. The point you made was a brilliant one when you said, if I'm across the mountain from you and I see your light, your porch light on, is that light pollution? And to say, well, I can file a complaint, then it's subject to whoever's gonna decide, that's just wrong. The more vague a statute is, the more difficult it is to enforce. And what I'm reading here is, I'm gonna have to hire an expert to tell me whether or not the light I propose to put up in my parking lot is gonna meet code. There's nothing simple about this. There's nothing that you can look at, oh yeah, I can put 100-watt light here. It's too vague.
Thank you for your comments.
So I guess my simple one, is it a can of worms to open? It's like you said, I mean, it's.
Well, I think that, and this is me, like I say, I like it, and I'm not gonna say the whole thing, but there are some people that come here in town and they turn their floodlights on for a month. And it's on from dusk to dawn, and it's not one floodlight, that's one, but 12 of them? I mean, it's bright.
When it's, I've said this before, but the challenge is lighting has gotten so much cheaper now
Yeah.
that everyone can be Clark Griswold. You can literally rig your entire property with LED floodlights for fractions of what it cost 20 years ago to do. So again, it's not that we enjoy saying, hey, you have to do whatever, but for $5,000, I could go out and rent enough lights to piss off every neighbor for 3 blocks around my house, no problem. And so that is the challenge of municipalities, is developing a standard and then working within it, seeing how it goes.
I agree. And that's what I say. I agree with, we need to do something. I just think there needs to be, and like I say, I haven't had the opportunity, and I apologize for that again, to read this thing again, to see what has changed, and then with the other considerations that are coming up. My opinion would be, this is just me, is have everybody here look at it again, and let's do it one more time. The resort, get with Night Skies, work it out with everybody, get it all, work it out with it. Put something in there about the townhouses or the condos. You can do this. Make it so that it's not vague and ambiguous, it's clear and precise.
So my only ask of that, I think it's a great idea, and I know we're over time, so I apologize for that. Well, I guess I would recommend that you table this till the next P and Z meeting. But I would also ask that whatever comments need to be incorporated, that needs to happen at a Night Sky committee meeting between now and your next.
And I would agree with that. I didn't know, because somebody said that we shouldn't table things, so I didn't know which.
Postpone, sorry, tabling, that is correct. If you table it, you're supposed to get back to it before you adjourn, so postponement, you're right, is the correct wording.
Yeah, and so that's what I would like to see. It would be up to, and that's just me. So this this committee needs to come to a consensus. Do we want to just postpone this and consider it more? Or do we? Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. Santos, you had a question?
Yes, so I would highly recommend if you want to have this conversation continue, that you hold this case under advisement until, and then you either give a date or you say until our next scheduled public hearing. I will also just point out that everything you see in this text is in addition to Title IX. So Title IX has a series of definitions that do not include what you see for the most part in this handout. So there's going to be a lot of new definitions brought into Title IX, into the exterior lighting section, into the nuisance section. So everything that you see in that handout is going to be incorporated into the existing chapter and then plugged in accordingly, depending on the section where it needs to go. And so, for example, there is a definition on today's code on light pollution. It's the light that escapes the intended area of illumination, but there is not a definition of light trespass. So you're going to see in this, what I think what we should do next time is give you a sample of Title IX with these insertions into them. So you see how the context flows, and then this goes into this section, this goes into this section. We're having this conversation with the Roads and Infrastructure Committee on amendments to Title VII with the encroachment permits and water conservation, things of that nature. And so we were asked as staff to give all of Title VII and then put in these inserts where they would flow so everybody can read it uniformly. And if that's a suggestion you'd like for us to consider, we can do that and put in this language so maybe it flows a little more coherently, where you'll see that the definition section of Title IX is now going to have 20 more additions or whatever. But if you want to continue the conversation, just hold this item under advisement until, and then you either give a date specific or say your next public hearing. I'm not sure what your September calendar looks like. I know you have some variance requests that Marcus is working the process for you. But nonetheless, that's the language I'd recommend.
Thank you.
Next meeting.
Quickly, Mr. Chairman, just trying to read through some of these definitions and see where you were struggling on light trespass, right? And the language for which it is intended and permitted places whoever is determining what is a trespass, well, what's the intention? And if you come down to the definition of nuisance, at least there you've injected, a reasonableness standard. Okay, so I would draw a distinction between those. The definition for nuisance being better, but then you can contrast it with uplighting, lighting directed in such a manner as to shine light rays above the horizontal plane. You can't get confused by that.
I clearly understand.
So it's the difference between, well, what's an assault and what's an attempted assault, right? Did you scare that person and wasn't reasonable, or did you punch him in the face? There's two different definitions of assault.
Right.
And so I would just suggest that, I don't want to tell the village how it spends its outside counsel fees, but to have an attorney look at this and just tighten up the language. I don't see a lot of problems with these. I think you could eliminate some of the confusion, which would save a lot on the back end.
That's what I'm looking for.
And I think, that maybe that's something that can be done relatively quickly. I mean, some lawyers are faster than others. But you want to get, I think, eyes on this before it goes to council.
Thanks. Thank you.
Just to kind of wrap up, and thank you all for your comments. I would say one of the things I think we're experiencing here is now that this is getting real, in other words, it's had to be published for a public notice, we're getting a little more engagement than what the committee has seen. Certainly, we've had some folks who've graced the committee and come by and talk to us, so happy to have those inputs. Hopefully, all of the massaging ends up with the right answer and a better outcome here. Deputy Clerk has just informed me the next scheduled P and Z meeting for you all is on the 3rd, tentatively scheduled. That is going to be a little tight to accomplish both Well, yes, for you all and for
Right.
Mr. Manley and anyone else who would like to give comments at another dark sky committee meeting. So, I would suggest, because as Santos pointed out, we need to pick a holdover, either a date or next committee meeting. So you might want to decide on what that date looks like so that the next committee can decide how do we incorporate changes before then. Thank you.
Thank you. So, trying to figure out how the proper rule of order goes, if we should, go ahead and put this under advisement and us review it and get back on, if September's gonna be, like, say, it's pretty quick, it's already coming up. Maybe say the one in October. The next scheduled meeting for October, which is the first. It'd be October 1. So do we want to do that, or do we want to set a different date, would be my question to the body.
Would it be after a dark sky meeting?
It would have to be after.
Yes.
Yeah, so they've already, when are they meeting?
They don't have
They don't.
one set because they needed to see what this body was gonna do
So I
first.
was gonna give them a good 30 days to get everything set, so September, this is almost the end of August, so, give them September and then come back to us. Hopefully before our date and I can get my email straight, where I can see what it's in writing, and we can all effectively have, time to read it, understand it, and then be ready to proceed forward.
It sounds like you all need to keep the date intact for the 3rd.
Right.
There will be some
The-
business already on that date,
So that's why I didn't want to say the next meeting. I want to
Correct.
say the following meeting, or put a date like October the 1st or October the 8th, whichever one. That would be,
October 1st.
Both of those dates are available as of right now. So
so it's up to y'all. I'm here at your pleasure.
it's the first council.
First council meeting,
I think.
give us just a second. The first council meeting in October will be on the 13th.
Yes.
So, right, so the 8th would,
So we could take it to council shortly after.
Correct.
With either one.
Either date would work. So it sounds like then you all need a motion to carry this over to the October 1st.
right, the 1st or the 8th, whichever way you want to go. So if I could, I will entertain a motion to do such
To hold the case under advisement,
until
P and Z reviewers, they'll
October the 1st or the 8th, whichever way.
I'll move to hold it under advisement, giving Dark Skies time to set their own meeting. And I would say October 1st. Does anybody else have?
It's fine for me.
Fine for me.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the table. I'll entertain a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Oh, hold it.
just very quickly, all of our committee meetings are posted. All you have to do is look, and we would welcome people to come. Occasionally, we have people who come to our committee, meeting, but not a lot.
Right.
But it's posted, we have to post it according to all of the rules that apply, and we do. So,
Do you know when your next meeting
no,
is?
Right, we did not have a previously set meeting because we needed to see what this body was gonna do.
Okay.
So as soon as Night Skies gets their meeting scheduled, will you please, email
Yes.
us and let us know?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, hearing no other comments or concerns or anything, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. John, you want to stay here longer?
I've got a party to go to.
Good for you.
Recording has stopped.